everyone here had the option of adopting a state from 6 battleground states. And I want to thank you for picking Florida. We will be going over why it's so important. But I want to thank you truly from the bottom of my heart for investing your time and energy into this very important swing state. It means a lot to me personally. So thank you for joining us tonight. And here are some people that also want to say thank you to you and to say hello. So we have an amazing team behind the scenes making this call work. And we want to shout out to some of the folks making things possible tonight. Organizers truly are the backbone of a campaign. I don't know if any of you have been organizers before, but the dedication it takes to be an organizer is something special. The time commitment, it just kind of takes over your life, and we all do it because we believe in it, and we're so grateful for our volunteers. So this week we are going to introduce you to just a few of our phenomenal Florida organizers. They're the ones leading the fight to stop Donald Trump and his agenda. Who is with us on that? Other people believe that as well. Let's see it in the chat. Yes. So please give them some love in the chat and of course on the Facebook Live video as they say hello. Emily, if you could start us off, please.
Hey everyone, my name is Emily. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm organizing in Central Florida, specifically Polk County. I'm organizing because the president has set our country back by decades in terms of climate change, immigration, racial equality, and so many more things in the last few years, and I want to keep fighting for a progressive future.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Emily, for sharing that. Hi, everyone. My name's Tommy. I'm a field organizer in Tallahassee, up in North Florida. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm organizing because I know what bullying looks like. I've experienced bullying. Many of us have. This administration actively promotes malevolence and ill will for the sake of their own power and personal capital, and I think that we have to vote them out.
Danny, you're muted.
Danny, are you here? Yeah, take it off mute.
Oh, there we go. Hi, Tommy. Thank you so much. And my name is Danny, and my pronouns are he and him. I'm an organizer here on the Space Coast of Florida, and I'm happy to be with everyone. My motivation for joining this fight is my mom. I lost her about 2 years ago. She had a difficult bout with end-stage dementia, and her journey, her fight, allowed me to experience firsthand that our healthcare system is absolutely broken. And then and there, I made a vow that I would work to elect a president that has the empathy and the integrity to address this issue and those issues that are important to all of us. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Danny. Hi, everyone. My name is Pamela. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm a field organizer over here in Southwest Florida. I organize because I strive to protect the trans community and the identities of both myself and my loved ones. And I truly believe that we need a leader that will also look out for the most vulnerable and will protect their rights.
Thanks, Pamela. My name is Nikki. My pronouns are she and her. I'm organizing in Southwest Florida in Sarasota County, and I'm organizing because after 231 years, women should have equal rights under the Constitution, and this current administration feels otherwise.
Great, thank you, organizers. I also just want to say, for me, the reason that I organize and why I'm here in Florida, I'm originally from Seattle. I got a call to come and work on a campaign, and I had lost a friend, a childhood friend, in the Vegas shooting, and I decided I needed to go work someplace that made a difference. So I broke up with my boyfriend, who wouldn't love me sharing that, and I packed up all of my stuff and I moved to Florida a week later. So for all of you joining from other states and coming here to make a difference and helping us flip this state, is something truly special to me, and I can't thank you enough. And thank you to the organizers who just shared. And I want to share some of the work that we've been able to accomplish in Florida in the short amount of time that we've been here. So we have made over 817,000 calls. That is so many. We've sent over 1.2 million texts. My fingers hurt thinking about that. We have also talked to over 59,000 people. We have also met with over 3,700 people for one-on-one meetings. And we've identified, this is probably my favorite number right here, but we have identified over 9,900 people who want to volunteer. And I'm so excited that you all joined us today, because that number is just going to skyrocket. And so grateful that you're going to be able to help us out and to make that difference. And we've got over 9,400 people engaged through community events, trainings, and volunteer activities. And I'm really excited now that I'm able to pass it along to Kate Beacon, one of our digital organizers. She has focused her work on local races in the Tampa Bay area, and she's done great work with us here at Organizing Together 2020. So if we can all welcome Kate in the chat and on Facebook. Kate, take it away.
Hello, everyone. I am so excited to have all of you joining us today, and I'm excited to be here. Before joining Organizing Together 2020, I have been working in local races here in the Tampa area and in mobilizing young people with Next Gen America and Florida College Democrats. This past May, I graduated from the University of Tampa, and I'm really excited to be a part of the work Organizing Together 2020 is doing. So I want to start off by hearing from you all. There's a reason that you picked Florida for your adopt-a-state, but why did you pick Florida over other states? Go ahead and share in the chat what reason it is that you got involved with Florida specifically, and why you picked Florida as your battleground. For some, it may be personal. For others, it might be because of the importance of Florida to our national election. So I'll give you all a few seconds to respond. Wow, this is awesome. I see, yeah, we've got a ton of electoral votes here. People with family here in Florida, grandparents in Florida, a memory of 2000, me, I understand. A lot of us we see Florida as a make or break state. Awesome, I love seeing all of these reasons. A home state, people who are here originally from Miami. Yeah, 1% difference in 2016. We're gonna talk a little bit about that. So thank you all for picking Florida. It really does mean the most to all of us. As some of you pointed out, Florida is a really diverse background state. There are a total of 538 electoral votes, and we have to win 270 in order to make sure Donald Trump and his agenda don't get another 4 years. Out of all 50 states, Florida is tied for the third highest amount of electoral votes. With 29 votes, winning Florida would mean that Democrats would only need to flip one of our other 5 priority states to take back the White House on November 3rd. Florida has been within 6 points every election since 1992. No other state has been consistently that close for that long. Trump won Florida by only 1.2% in 2016. That's only 112,911 votes. That's an important number. Remember that number. Does anyone else remember any of these elections? Who remembers this one? I know I do. 2018 was one of the toughest losses we've seen in Florida, and I can't thank you all enough for showing up here and making sure this does not happen again in 2020. Florida's likely to be really close, but signing up voters for vote by mail, registering new voters, may be what it takes to make that difference. This includes registering and providing correct information to more than 1 million formerly incarcerated people who have recently regained their right to vote. Winning Florida is going to be really tough, but it's definitely not impossible. We need to mobilize voters in 2020, and we can't do this without your help. Now that we've begun to get a better understanding of the importance of Florida, Jackie is going to go over an issue that has affected over 1 million people here in the state. Jackie, take it away.
Hello, my name is Jackie Barber, and I go by she and her. The reason why I organize is for my two beautiful children. I know that all the work that we are doing may not actually do much for us at this time because of the current administration. There's a lot of things that need to be fixed. So I am hoping and praying that all of this hard work that we're putting into this is going to make a better future for them. I know that people care about their nieces and nephews and their grandchildren. So I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people in here that feel the same way that I feel about all of this hard work that we're doing. I know most of you are from out of state. So who here has heard of Amendment 4? Let me know in the chat. I'll give you guys 30 seconds to answer, and then we'll share the results. Okay. Well, I see a lot of yeses, I see a lot of nos, and I see a couple of maybes. So come along with me, and I'll tell you exactly what Amendment 4 is. Amendment 4 was designed to automatically restore the right to vote for people with prior felony convictions, except those convicted of murder or a felony sexual offense upon completion of their sentence. Here in Florida, we were pretty much one of the few states that did not do it. On a more personal note, I wanted to share with you exactly why Amendment 4 was so important to me. In the community where I am from, young Black males do not have programs to help keep them off of the streets. On those streets, it's only two things that they can actually do, and both of those things can land them in jail. It would be drugs or criminal activities. Some of these activities would end them up in jail and being charged with felonies on their first strike. This would automatically take away their right to vote. A lot of them being first-time offenders, at an early age, they would have gone through life unable to ever exercise their right to vote. Just one mistake, and they would have never been able to vote until Amendment 4 was passed. In Florida, more than 10% of the adult population is prohibited from voting because they've had a felony conviction. It is important to note that all people convicted of a felony are affected by this, no matter their age, race, political party, or religion. However, restoring voting rights at a higher percentage of white people, the analysts by the Palm Beach Post found that Governor Scott restored rights to a higher percentage of Republicans and a lower percentage of Democrats than any of his predecessors since 1971. What a shame. How did returning citizens get their voting rights back? The answer was simply, it is all depending on who the governor of Florida is. While Governor Charlie Crist was in office for 4 years, he restored a whopping 150,000 Floridians their voting rights. In the 7 years that Governor Scott was in office, he approved restoring voting rights for just a measly 3,000 people. Going into 2018, Florida was one of the 4 states where people convicted of a felony did not regain their right to vote until or unless a state officer or board restored an individual's voting right. Florida passed a ballot initiative on November 6, 2018. As a part of the 2018 Florida election, Amendment 4 was passed with 64.55% of the voters in favor of letting people get their voting rights back. Thank you for taking the time out to learn about Amendment 4 with me. It is important to make sure that everyone, and I do mean everyone, can express their voice with their vote. I'm now going to pass it back to our Florida training director, Alexis.
Perfect. Thank you, Jackie. I really appreciate it. So I want to ask everyone a few questions before we go into vote by mail. So if we can have everyone active in the chat, I would really appreciate it. So for everyone that's been here for the 3 series, or for the 3 weeks, what have you learned? What was kind of highlights? What hit home for you? The hard sell, yeah, the hard ask. Absolutely. One way to look at the hard ask is that we are really not asking people to do us a favor. We're giving them an opportunity to make a difference in their community, right? So when you think about reaching out to your family and friends and you're a little nervous about it, right? It's something I hear all the time. I'm really nervous about talking about politics with family or friends. And my response is, we're in a place in this country right now where we don't have a choice. We have to have these conversations. We have to make sure that everyone is coming to the table and willing to make a difference. And once again, you're not asking them to do you a favor. You're asking them to help their own communities and to help us all. Some other stuff I saw in here, perfect. Storytelling and how to approach voters, right? Yeah, so you kind of heard that from our organizers tonight, where I know it was hard for some of them, but to talk about their personal experiences. And that's what got me here to Florida, and I'm so grateful it did, because I don't know without that push that I would have made it all the way here. Perfect, I love that. And one last question before we move on a little bit. Why do you think this year is so essential? Other than Trump specifically. Let's get some specifics in here other than dump Trump. Even though I agree. The census, yes. The courts. Whoa, this is going by so fast. Yep. I could not agree with these. So climate change, healthcare, COVID-19, right? That's a huge one happening right now. These answers are fantastic. Redistricting, social justice. I think we're seeing that now more than ever, and people standing up to make sure that their voices are heard, and that all of these injustices are brought to everyone's attention. Perfect. A living wage. Yep. Prison reform. That's a great one. Yep. Wow, you guys are blowing up the chat. This is amazing. Saving democracy. Yes, that is a nice broad one that kind of fits this all together. Sea rising, yeah. And Florida, yeah, we need help with our healthcare. Homelessness, yeah, I come from Seattle, huge problem there. Concentration camps on the border. Perfect, that's one way to put it, yeah. So you guys just threw out so many reasons, and when you're telling your personal story and when you're trying to make that hard ask, talk about what's important to you, about what's important to the other person, and really bring it all together. Okay, I cannot thank you. Healthcare, yes, it is so important, especially in Florida. Healthcare is so important because of the elderly population that we have here. So once again, thank you, Jackie. Let's give Jackie some appreciation in the chat. It's really important that everyone knows what the state has gone through and the difference that Amendment 4 is going to make this year. Like she said, 64.55% of voters favored it. So super excited about that. One second. Okay, so I just got notice that Jon Lovett is going to be here any moment. So we're going to get started, and then once he joins us, we are going to hop over to him and have a little conversation. So really excited about it. Perfect. So we're going to talk about voting in Florida, and there's 3 different ways that you can vote in Florida. So the first one is vote by mail. Second one, early voting. And the third one, election day. Can you guys tell me in the chat how your state does it? Let's see a wide range. Like I said, I'm from Seattle, so I was brought up by voting by mail. All 3, yep. Yep. Wow, this is going by so fast. Yep. So some people can just vote on election day, early voting. Perfect. And now, how do most of you vote? What is your option that you usually decide to pick? Perfect. I see a lot of vote by mail, and that makes me so happy. So one of the things that we really have to focus on this year is vote by mail because of COVID, and we're going to be talking about that a little more in a minute. Perfect. So I am going to take it off of screen share right now. Perfect. And once again, I'm super excited to be able to introduce, I think he is here right now, Jon Lovett. And just for those that need a little reminder, former presidential speechwriter, TV writer, podcast host, and a straight shooter, widely respected on both sides. Do we have you here? Mr. Lovett.
I think he may be just jumping over from Wisconsin. He'll be right over.
So in the chat, can you let me know who has watched his podcast, Love It or Leave It? I'm going to give him a few shout outs for this. Yes, you've listened to it. For those that haven't, please type this, write this down right now so you can go and watch it soon, because it truly is something that you need for this election cycle. It's very, very important. What other podcast from Pod Save Americas do you follow? We've had a couple of the guys on here, as you've seen through the couple of weeks. Yep, All the Crooked, What a Day. I cannot keep up with this chat. Something about 6 feet. That's amazing. Well, if he's going to be a minute, we can start screen sharing again and go back into it. Emily, if you don't mind. Perfect. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Perfect. Thank you. So shockingly, over 60% of eligible voters cast a ballot in the 2016 presidential election. Why is this? So sadly, our country has a long history of making voting difficult. From Election Day not being a national holiday to a lack of access for many voters, there are too many obstacles in the way to getting to the poll. So if you could let me know in the chat, why do you think people don't vote? Go ahead and drop your thoughts in the chat, and I'm going to give you about 10 seconds for that. Not enough time. Yep. COVID. Yep. COVID's going to be jury duty. Yep. Absolutely. There's some really great answers in there. So some other ones: convicted of felonies, disabilities, working. A lot of people have to work, right? It's not a national holiday. The elderly, they have trouble getting there, and ID laws. So it's really important that we give them the option of vote by mail. So that is why today we are going to be focusing on vote by mail. And I've said before, I'm from Seattle, and that's what we have exclusively. So I truly do understand the importance and the impact that it can have on an election. Even an alligator can do it in Florida. Okay, so remembering back to week 1 and thinking about why people say yes to volunteering, the same concepts apply here. So people register to vote by mail because 1, they can, right? They're eligible. Perfect. They're eligible and have some time. They know how, they understand how to do it. Secondly, they want to. They're asked by someone they know. Hopefully you guys are able to do this, or a volunteer lets them know why it's so important. And thirdly, because they're asked to. They're interested in elections. They know that we have to defeat Donald Trump and his dangerous agenda, right? And they care about the issues and the neighbors and community, and they believe in civic engagement. Can all of you guys agree with all of that? Perfect. So week after week, you're building up these skills, and we just talked about them a minute ago. And these skills and the knowledge to help make this happen. So combine this with your relational organizing skills, so your hard-ass skills and your personal storytelling skills. And that's a very incredible, powerful combination. So you might be asking, because I know it is different in every state, who can register to vote by mail? So in Florida, as Oprah would say, you've got to vote, you've got to vote. So any registered voter may request a mail-in ballot. All you have to do is request one from your county supervisor of elections office. Not that hard. So in addition to being essential during a global pandemic, vote by mail has shown to be one of the most efficient and cost-effective ways to bank votes in our communities. So vote by mail makes voting more accessible for older folks, people with disabilities, people who can't get off work, etc., right? So vote by mail has always been used by overseas military personnel. So we know that it's useful and it's a safe method of voting. Perfect. So no one should have to jeopardize their safety in order to participate in our democracy and cast their ballot. So we've seen this in a few other states where people aren't having this option, or the administration, the state administration is not allowing it. Can you guys give any examples? Any states you've seen this in? Yeah, Wisconsin's a big one. Yeah, absolutely. That's probably Georgia. Yep, it's always difficult in Georgia. So many things that need to be fixed there. Okay, perfect. So just like you guys, 2/3 of Americans expect the COVID-19 outbreak to disrupt voting in Florida. To disrupt voting in November. So since the adoption of vote by mail in the Sunshine State, that is it, the popularity of voting by mail has grown steadily. The way people are voting has drastically changed over the years. So let's break this down a little bit. So from 2008 to 2016, there has been roughly a 15% reduction in people voting on election day. That's a huge reduction. So let's go to early voting. So we've also seen that people in early voting from 2008 to 2016 roughly has increased by 19%. Whew, that's a lot. Okay, so now vote by mail has also increased from 2018 to 2016, same statistics, by roughly 6%. So from looking at how the country has been voting while dealing with COVID-19, I would expect those numbers to go up. Can you all agree with me? Perfect. Yes, I know, I like the puppy too. So this shows us, these statistics show us that people want other options to vote other than on election day. We named all the reasons why people have issues with it. And that is definitely one of them. So before I introduce our next guest speaker for tonight, I want to go over the next steps. So if you can all research more on vote by mail in Florida, all you have to type in is Florida Division of Elections, vote by mail, you'll get some information on it. And then join us for next week for the final training for Adopt a State volunteers, and we'll tell you exactly how you can bring your unique skills and background to organizing, and how to help take the next step as a volunteer, and how to have the biggest impact possible going into the general election. So we'll be going back with all 5 states next week. And we've also got some more special guests. Dan Pfeiffer is going to be joining us, so we can all get really excited about that. And I think we are still waiting on Mr. Lovett, so I've got the honor to introduce Anatole Jenkins today. He has been organizing at the forefront of historic fights for the span of his career. He got his start organizing for President Obama's re-election campaign, right? Definitely show some love for that and excitement. Before serving as a field director for the Nevada State Democratic Party in 2014. So he served in many leadership positions with Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign. And since then, he has played a leading role in organizing against Donald Trump at the DCCC, and his role as National Organizing Director, very impressive, for Kamala Harris's presidential campaign. And we now have the honor here at Organizing Together 2020 to have him as our National Organizing Director. So let's show some excitement and let's introduce him. Welcome, Anatol.
Thank you so much, Alexis. I don't think that I've deserved all of that. I am just an organizer amongst organizers, and so feel very, very comfortable here, and I'm very happy to be here with you all today. For starters, thank you guys so much. Thank you so much for joining today's training. Thank you guys so much for the prior trainings you guys may have attended already. Thank you for adopting Florida, and thank you for the work that you guys have done. So many of you have been a part of, this organization for a while, or since we launched sort of this Vote Save America partnership and training a few weeks ago. You guys have built a strong organization of leaders. We have amazing organizers on the ground who've done such a great job of building out an organization of leaders who've learned how to organize in some incredibly unique circumstances. And I cannot just say how impressive that is and how important that work is for us to defeat Donald Trump. This organization and the work that you guys have done, again, it's impressive, and it's just so important for so many different reasons. For starters, one, and just to go down the list, your work is important because organizing matters. Organizing matters, and don't ever let anyone tell you otherwise. It is how we win. Every presidential campaign, Alexis went through some of the numbers that we've seen in modern history has come down to the margins in battleground states. That was the case in 2008. That was the case in 2012, and without a doubt, that will be the case for us defeating Donald Trump. And we only defeat Donald Trump when we organize. That is the only way we can do that, which very much leads me, to my second point on the importance of your work, and it is about time. Time is our most important resource in terms of defeating Donald Trump. It's also the only resource that we cannot replenish. The only resources we can't replenish, and it takes time to organize. We've gotten started with this organization earlier than has ever happened before because we know it takes time. It takes time to register voters. It takes time to educate them on vote by mail, which will be so important this year with COVID. It takes time to talk to all those voters, and it takes time to develop the leaders you need for that get out to vote organization to win. So time is the most important resource, and it's something that we can't replenish, and we have to use it now to organize and do the work that we're doing. Your work is important also now, but it also matters for what happens after too, after Election Day. When we're organizing people to defeat Donald Trump, but what we're also doing? We are also developing skills in people to fight for their local library that they know they want to keep open because it provides a safe haven for children after school, or folks who want to organize to put a street light at a dangerous intersection, or folks who want to organize after Election Day to hold Joe Biden accountable to everything he said he would do when he was elected. When we organize, we are organizing for now, but we are also organizing for the future. And so that is incredibly important. And lastly, I'll just go right ahead and say it. You have adopted Florida. You guys have adopted the battleground of battleground states. I doubt that there are many, or there are probably very few electoral paths to victory for Joe Biden that do not include winning Florida. And that's a lot of weight on your shoulders. And you guys should feel that. I want you to feel that. I encourage you to feel the weight on your shoulders of that responsibility. But this team hasn't done anything yet to show anyone that they can't handle that weight. And with you all on the team and you all doing the work that you need to do, I feel even more confident that we will get the job done. I also would be remiss without saying that just, me, myself personally, as a Black man, the work that you do is important to my Black life and the Black lives of so many others across the country. So, when we think about, you know, what we're fighting for, what we're organizing for, yes, it's to defeat Donald Trump, but it's also to do so much more. We're organizing for affordable and equitable healthcare. We're organizing for education and more resources going to our teachers. We're organizing for voting rights, equal pay, regardless of your race, of your gender, of your sexual orientation. We're organizing for clean water for Flint, Michigan, and other communities all across the country, for immigration reform in DACA, for Black lives and criminal justice reform. Ultimately, we are organizing for what we believe and what we know is the American dream and the America that we believe in. And so that's why we do this work. That is why we need you. And so, you know, before we leave, before I sort of pass it on, I'd ask everyone here to close your eyes. Just close your eyes. And I want you all to think about how you felt on election day of 2008 or 2012, or that may be 2018 for you. I want you to think about the hope you felt. Now I want you to think about 2016 and how you felt on election night of 2016. And I want you to all ask yourself this question about 2016. If you felt you did enough to defeat Donald Trump. Now look, regardless of your answer, I want to make an ask for everyone on this call right now to make sure that you do everything you can, so no matter what, when you ask yourself that question in November of this year, it's a resounding yes. It's a resounding yes. So all right, let's get to work. That's how we win. I cannot thank you guys enough for all that you all have already done. Thank you for all that you will do. If there's any state that is going to usher Donald Trump out of the White House, it is the state of Florida. And so I'm excited to do this work with you all. Let's get to work. Let's defeat Donald Trump, and I'll see you guys out there. And so passing it back to you, Alexis.
Woo! Thank you. I saw quite a few calls for you to run for office. So people loved you. Thank you. I now have the honor of introducing the one, the only, Jon Lovett. Thank you for joining us in the great state of Florida.
Thank you for having me. That was an incredibly inspiring speech and said it better than I could ever say it. Thank you all for being part of this organizing effort. Thank you for signing up. Thank you for doing your part. You know, this is a moment where we have, so none of us thought we'd be doing this over Zoom, right? None of us thought we'd be organizing remotely this way. So you take the most important election of our lifetimes, you put it in one of the most important battleground states in the country. Now, I've technically adopted Pennsylvania, all right? So while I understand your commitment to claiming Florida is most important, I have a kind of loyalty, all right, to Pennsylvania right now, but my parents also live in Florida, okay? And so they may be on this Zoom right now. So Florida, obviously, a very important battleground in a lot of my personal and familial arguments as well. But I know that you've done this session about organizing, especially organizing remotely, canvassing, doing everything we can to win when we can't do what we would normally do. But I want to put a Floridian to the test to make sure you're ready for the Florida-specific challenges, okay, you may face, all right, during this organizing effort. Alexis, who is the person who is going to take this quiz today?
Yes, she is quite excited. It is Pamela.
Pamela.
So, yep.
Hi. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. My name's Pamela.
Pamela, nice to meet you. I love the flag. I want you to know that I had a whole plan to put some Florida landmarks behind me, but my computer does not seem to have the ability to do what you have done. So congratulations on the operating system, on the hardware you're able to run from. That's incredibly impressive. Okay, here's the deal. All right, I'm going to ask you questions about organizing in Florida. All right, and you have to be ready. All right, for the Floridians that you're going to need to convince. Okay.
Okay.
All right, here it is. First question. What do you say if someone tells you they don't want to vote because on election day, a lot of people leave their chickens unguarded? By the way, the person talking is an alligator.
I would say that they're unrelated.
Okay. But is there something they can do to maybe not have to vote on election day?
something that they can do so that they won't have to
Is there a
vote?
way they could vote remotely in some way?
Well, yes, of course. Yeah, if they are concerned about the chickens, they can just vote from home.
I'm sorry to have put both of us and everybody watching through that question. All right, next question. You're scarfing down a couple of hush puppies in Senflo when you recognize Tevin, one of the Gatorland Wranglers, exiting the local gun shop. Tevin just turned 18. You remember because he told you about his early acceptance to UF. He also told you he's unregistered to vote, but thinks Biden is kind of wavy. What do you do?
I would explain to him the stakes involved in this election, and then I would push him to register to vote and bother him until he does.
Correct. I think that's correct. All right, next question. A mother of 4 says she won't be voting on election day because that was the day they got their family fun discount to Disney World and they can't change the tickets without paying a fee. What do you do?
So they can't vote.
They have to go to Disney on election day. They can't change the tickets. They don't want the fee. They really get you with the fees.
Okay. I would bring up the fact that they can vote from home with a mail-in ballot, and they can also vote during early voting.
You're all the experts, but I judge by the comment. Wait, there's a second option. What's the other option? Is it early voting? Oh, you said it, early voting. You got it. All right. Last question. A voter doesn't trust vote by mail because election season is also hurricane season, which they believe is a conservative plot to decrease voter turnout and soak ballots in rain so that they're unreadable. How do you assuage their fears?
Wow. Wow. I would tell them that they can track their vote by mail ballots online on their county elections office if they're very concerned, or they can drop it off at their county elections office before the hurricane hits. And if the hurricane somehow falls, doesn't fall while early voting is going on, then they can go vote at an early voting station.
You are that is correct. I'm sure, right? You all know. You're the organizer. Pamela, you won the game.
Yay! I wasn't prepared, so yay.
And I love the pride energy you're bringing to this organizing. All right. Love the flag. All right. I think it's awesome. Thank you so much for playing. And thank you to everybody who is participating in these sessions and doing the work to get ready. I don't need to add to what you've already heard because I think everyone who's here understands the stakes and understand why this fight is so important. And at such a dark time, it's so inspiring to see so many people stepping up to do their part to sort of be in this fight and do all that they can, because it is absolutely true that none of us can predict the future, but if we can all wake up on that Wednesday after election day knowing everybody did everything they could, that we really did leave it all on the field, a sports reference I understand, that's all that we can do, and that's all we should do. So thank you all so much. Thanks to Organizing Together. Thanks to Vote Save America. Thanks to everybody for being part of this session. And I'll see you the next time I'm visiting the Lovetts.
Thanks for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. I know you have to go jump to another state, but thanks for taking the time to talk to us tonight.
Thanks, Alexis. Bye.
Thanks. Perfect. Pamela, you did a phenomenal job. I don't know if I could have answered any of those better than you. So congratulations, you won some sort of prize. So if everyone could give they some love in the chat, I would appreciate it, because you really did a phenomenal job. And Anatole, thank you again for joining us tonight. Loved hearing from you. And that kind of wraps things up. So please, please, please make sure you sign up for next week's call. It's going to be our last one. It's going to pull everything in together. So thank you for joining us.